So I'm Tom Martienssen. I'm the director. I'll let Kiloku introduce himself afterwards. So our documentary is Rhino, and we basically follow the story of a team of rangers led by Kiloku over the course of like 5 years. And basically, this team has been so successful that the rhino habitat the number of rhinos has basically outstripped the size of the habitat, and so now they're having to find new habitat and move the excess rhinos to a new place, which comes with many challenges that you have to watch the film to see explicitly. So, Kiloku, do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Kiloku Ramson. I'm a ranger from Kenya at the Barana Conservancy. I'm working as a lead rhino monitor in the Conservancy, and I'm really so happy to be here today.
So, where is Rhino based in Africa?
So the conservancy that we were filming in is in Laikipia, so northern Kenya.
Okay.
And so that's where we were based for the whole film, basically. So I lived there for the whole time we were making the film. James, the producer, was there pretty solidly for the first year, and then backwards and forwards from then on. And then we also did most of the edit in Kenya, because I felt the editor, even though I felt the editor needed to kind of experience the place to be able to sort of edit it authentically.
In the last 2 years ago, being a ranger, we always expect unexpected. And I was being attacked by a black rhino with a calf. And I was really so lucky because I'm still protecting those iconic species. And, in our normal duty, we normally make sure that the rhinos are in safe every day and every time. So when a rhino is missing for a couple of days, we go out and search. And I remember that day there's one of the rhino which is missing for a couple of days. In my daily routine, I take out my quad bike. I was using a quad bike to go out. Unfortunately, I found a rhino on the side of the road, which I couldn't see in a distance. Just I heard a sound of a rhino. To turn my shoulder halfway, the rhino was on top of me. He flipped off my quad bike. And the only thing I saw is only the calf running, because the rhino has a calf. And the quad bike rolls like 100 meters to the river. I was left on the road unconscious. And after a few minutes, I wake up because the radios that we are using, it has a GPS. So I press an emergency button. They appear on the screen, and then the rescue vehicle came and they came and rescued me. I was being taken to the hospital. I got some impact of the motorbike, but I was really very lucky because I didn't get any possible wound. I got a very impact in my back, but also intact on my bladder. And the insurance cover stand on all of my bills.
So one of the things we wanted to show with the documentary is that, like, it's not just rangers, particularly kind of stereotypical African rangers. You often see just the armed teams and just the anti-poaching teams, and just the kind of, you imagine that that's the only kind of danger and only fight that they're dealing with. But in reality, like, Kiloku is kind of, we never went out to find rhinos and didn't almost get chased by rhinos. And so, like, the dangers are kind of constant, from buffaloes chasing you, lions chasing you, rhinos obviously chasing you. And so the like level of danger that the rangers are constantly facing is much more like complex than just dealing with anti-poaching teams or poachers.
They're risking their lives.
Yeah, like every day. And Kiloku will be out 7 days a week on a motorbike or a quad bike, finding all the rhinos and tracking the rhinos that have been missing for so many days. And the way that they've been successful is by finding every rhino every day. And if one goes missing, then they basically launch a search party, of which Kiloku's in charge of.
How do they find the rhinos?
This is your field. How do you find rhinos?
In our working daily routine, like in every conservancy, we divide into blocks. On every block, we assign some of the rangers, like 3 rangers. so that they can patrol under their zone to make sure that they find anything which is unusual, and also to make sure that the rhinos are safe. And when a rhino is missing for a couple of days, we join together, we go as such, we can use many as we can, many rangers as we can. And also, if it's difficult for us to fight the rhino, we can use the horses also, will help us to fight the rhino. And also, if it's difficult for the horses again, we can use a plane or a land helicopter to go for patrol until we make sure that the rhino was being found alive. To go every morning to go to patrol, there is a ways of getting rhinos easily or tracking rhinos easily. We recon roads to find for the tracks. If you find the tracks of a rhino, you look which side they move to. And also for the bulldogs, you look for the bulldogs if it's fresh or old. If you see it's old, you know this rhino is not in this area for today. But if you find a fresh tracks or fresh bulldogs, you follow the direction where they go. And also we can able to identify which rhino is that by by having all of these skills, like knowing the number of rhinos in the area, and you make sure that you every day you look the different track for every rhino, like the toes are a bit different, not similar to everyone. So to be a good ranger, those are the things that you need to look for, so that you can able to tell even by tracks which rhino is that.
So, just in summary, Kiloku can basically identify all the rhinos that are in his area by footprint.
Animals every day. Do you have this like deep love for animals?
Yeah, basically rhinos, no matter whether black or white, I love rhinos, all rhinos generally. Yeah.
What do you love about the rhinos?
For the rhinos, I love because rhinos, is iconic species, and like everyone is looking for the rhinos. So everyone in the world is like you wish to see these rhinos can live for long for the future generation.
I think one of the most amazing things about Piranha, like Ipia, Luisaba, and Kiloku's team more generally is they're actually successful. Conservation is actually working, and it is working to the point where it needs to expand into new territory. And at a point when all of the messaging is very negative and kind of disaster situation.
Negative. What messaging is negative?
Well, I mean, we're just inundated with negative stories about the collapsing biodiversity, rhino numbers collapsing, endangered species, and all the kind of the negative impacts humans are having on the environment, which obviously shouldn't be ignored and needs to be explored properly. But Kiloku's team and the Kenya more generally, and Laikipia especially, they are like successfully taking a species that was at the point of like a symbol of extinction and turning it into something that is so successful that it needs more space. So Kenya actually has managed to pretty much eradicate poaching. Not obviously, not 100%. There's still incidents. There's probably, on average, like a rhino a year will get poached, like one rhino per year. In South Africa, it's a much more sophisticated, poaching sort of mechanism where they have, there has been recorded cases of them using helicopters to poach and things like that. But I think those incidents are so rare that that's not really the threat. What is actually the threat is basically someone being so impoverished that someone comes to them and they're like, I will give you this rifle if you go and shoot that rhino. And they're thinking, I shoot one rhino and then I can feed my family because I've got a rifle, or I can protect my community because I've got a rifle. And so that person is kind of easily persuaded to become a kind of one-time poacher by, organized criminals that don't have their best interests at heart, basically. So the poaching crisis in South Africa is more sophisticated. In Kenya, it's much more taking advantage of people that are in sort of desperate circumstances. And that's again why I think the rangers on Barana and in Kenya have been much more successful is because Kiloku's from the village next door to the conservancy, and so Kiloku knows all the people who are like on the perimeter of the conservancy. So if someone comes into the village who's a kind of unknown who could be a potential poacher, everyone in the village knows. And so Kiloku would get a call, or like Abraham or one of the other rangers will get a call from someone in that community saying, there's someone here, they're looking at the fence, it's a little bit weird, can you come and check? And that like community involvement in conservation is a major part of why it's successful.
We are surrounded by 6 communities, and 95% of the employees, they were coming from the local communities. And that's a major way of how we protect them, because we believe the community is the fence before the fence line. Everyone in the community is aware about conservation, and also everyone who is living in the community, they know the importance of rhinos, and all the rangers or the rangers working in the conservancy, they were coming from those local communities. So either your friends there, your parents, your brother, or your cousin. So it's very, very easy for us to get information if there is a stranger outside the conservancy. We divide into 2 categories. We have the general security and the anti-poaching units. And what we normally do shifting, like the general security working at daytime and the anti-poaching units working at night. So every evening around 5 p.m., we deploy the armed guys to all sides of the conservancy or where rhinos have been sighted to open up the eyes and ears. If there is anything an issue, they report back to our operation room. And sometimes, if we have any wildlife that's breaking the fences, like elephants, goes to the community, we send up a team to go and push them back to the conservancy. And that's the one way of working closely with the communities, and also they can see the help from the conservancies.
So one of the major challenges for the community is farming, and elephants in particular can be really destructive to farming. Leopards can be really destructive for livestock, and so the rangers will work with the community. So when an elephant escapes the conservancy and gets into the farm and is destroying crops, the rangers will come and basically chase it back into the conservancy and prevent that from happening. So therefore, keeping the farms and the livelihood of the community safe, in return for the community alerting them when there's, dodgy people or like, people that need to be flagged as potential poachers.
How did you get involved with this project, and what inspired you?
So I went to Burana or Kenya for the first time in 2017 with a friend of mine who was training the anti-poaching units. And I'm ex-military, so there's a kind of military connection there. And he was training the anti-poaching units. I was there working on a completely different film, but realized it's a kind of untold conservation success story. And so it took like 4 years to try and build the deck, like raise the funding, and then in like 2021 I think I first moved to Kenya during COVID, so all of my other work dried up, had nothing else to do. So I kind of sold my house, got on a plane and flew to Kenya, and then lived on the conservancy, on a house on the edge of the conservancy that was like falling down for the first couple of years. And then, it was just out with the rangers in Kiloku kind of every day.
Was it bliss?
It was, it was amazing.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, the only message that I can share is about conservation. Let's all join together and make sure that we protect these iconic species in the future for the new generation.